Hello.
Hey.
Welcome,
So this is
welcome.
the very first lesson we're going to be doing together for the Bad Website Club free boot camp. And some folks are here live. Hey, loves. Um, and some folks are going to join us remotely, and that's super chill as well.
Yeah, if you're watching this recorded, remember that you can catch up at your own pace. We'll be here whenever you need us. These lessons are meant for y'all to be done live so that you can ask questions or catch up as needed.
Yeah, like everything's stressful very generally, but everything's fine for the world is big and stressful and weird, but we're just going to do a little tiny bit of web development today. So, just to review, if folks haven't seen it already, we've got a code of conduct. You want to head to bit.ly/BWCCOC. And by being in the spaces and being in the Discord, you've already agreed that, these are the rules I'm going to follow. Hey, if you're not already in the Discord, you can be. You don't have to. Every component is optional. But we've got a Discord which might be exceptionally useful for folks who can't join us live. Amazing. Oh gosh, we've got so many people saying hello. How terrifying. How exciting.
Hello.
So, today we're going to do super stressful, super difficult things, right? Lots of
No,
screaming, lots of crying.
it's gonna be gentle, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be relaxed. And remember, folks, if you have any questions, that's what the chat is for. And if not everything clicks, don't worry, it doesn't have to all click immediately.
And we're going to
Whoop.
be using a principle called pair programming today. So, one of the person is going to be telling people what to do. And that's going to be me today because I'm very bossy. And the other person's going to be, and that's you, my lovely, going to be typing it out. So, pair programming is a really fantastic way to. Oh gosh, the Discord is out of date, unfortunately. Fabulous. I'll go
Oh,
get a proper Discord link. Everything's
let
fine.
me fix that for y'all. Sorry about that.
You're far, far too nice. While
S-
you're fixing that, I'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. So, folks who are joining us live or folks who are joining us after the fact, even easier. If you haven't already gone to freecodecamp.org and signed up for a free account, you're going to need to do that in order to do the lessons along with us. So, all chill. And you're going to want to be so some people like to be logged in while they do this, and I respect that. And some people like to watch the video and chill and ask questions and then do the lessons themselves later, also fine. And some people like to do the lessons before and then join. Those are overachievers. I love them, but it couldn't be me. And the mean thing we're going to do today is we're going to get about halfway through this lesson and then we're going to say, okay, we're going to stop because we want to make sure we're not giving you every single we don't want to sort of give you all the answers. We want to make you struggle a little.
It'll be so relaxed. And remember, if you don't get everything, remember to please collaborate with one another, to ask each other questions, to answer questions. Remember, that's what the Discord and the forum are for.
You're going to hear a loud sound because me streaming is unofficially sponsored by Dr. Pepper. I'm always going to have one in the background. I'm very rude. So let's go ahead and get started. We're logged into freecodecamp.com. We're on the
Yeah,
learn page. And we've got a
yeah,
whole bunch of different things we could learn, but we're going to start with responsive web design certification.
cool.
Later on in February, we're going to do the JavaScript one, but for now,
Ooh.
and let's talk a little bit about this. So, in this responsive web design certification, we'll learn the languages that developers use to make web pages. HTML is
Mhm.
hypertext markup language for content, and CSS, and I think this is beautiful, cascading style sheets for design.
Yeah.
Okay. So, two languages, HTML and CSS. And I always like to think that HTML is the things you put on the page, and CSS is the rules of style.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. So, and then later on, other things, other things. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's get stuff done. We're
So we'll
going to
do our first course today.
cat photo app.
Amazing. I'm gonna
Let's
go
see
ahead
what
and
it's going to
click
look
on
like.
start project.
Oh, that's a very cute cat. Okay.
Is the
So
cute
it
cat.
looks like we're gonna have a website that has some text. I see some lists. Oh, it's got
Mhm.
a form. Oh no, forms are so hard. Are they? Forms feel like they're gonna be scary. So I bet they're not gonna hurt us too bad.
I think, it's one of those things where I won't know them yet, and what I don't know seems scary at first, but you can't learn without not knowing.
Yeah. And most of what we're gonna learn in the first couple of really most of what we're gonna learn in this boot camp is how to keep going when we get stressed out and scared.
Yeah,
Start coding. And
cool.
thematically, I apologize in advance if my cats jump in the middle of this.
But they're so lovely.
They're very ugly.
No, they're wonderful.
If y'all see a terrible cat anywhere on my screen, just yell, "Cat, cat, cat, cat," and I'll push them off. So, HTML elements have opening tags with a double Pac-Man, and then a closing tag, which has a slash.
The slash
Okay.
inside. So it's the same tag, but with a slash in the closing one.
And just a preview, this isn't always true. So,
Mm.
almost all HTML tags will look like this, where we have an opening tag, and here it's an H1. What's an H1?
Ooh, I know this because I've gone a little bit ahead, but the H here stands for heading.
Ah,
So a heading
heading.
is sort of a title.
Yeah. And here we can see side by side, we see the HTML we're working with. And then on the other side, we see it says hello world in big chunky text.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wants us to change the H1 element. It wants to change the content inside these tags. So could you go to where the H1, yeah, so right there,
Yeah,
can you delete only the text that says hello world, but leave both of those tags alone?
like this.
Oh, and
So now
immediately we
it's
see that
empty.
our hello world went away.
Mhm.
We still have our tags. The element still exists. So an opening tag and a closing tag together make an element. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even though it's got no content, we that element is still present here.
Just so teeny tiny that she's invisible.
Exactly.
Can you write cat photo app with no spaces?
There it is.
And what I think is going to happen, I think we push check our code, well, check your code really. And we've
Our
got that
code.
green line. We've got a test. Our tests pass. Everything's fine.
So with that done, we can submit and go to the next challenge. And that's how it's going to be going through the project. So we're going to get a series of instructions and then a series of challenges, pardon me, and we'll go through them and learn together.
So I've been talking too much. I'm going to turn it over to you with the hard one. So an H1 is a heading. And then we can have an H2, an H3, an H4. When do we use different ones of these? Is it just to make them bigger or smaller? Can we add an H2 to see what it looks like?
Yeah. So
So an opening
H2.
H2, it looks just like our H1.
I'm going to close it in advance.
Ah,
And then inside those tags, I'm going to write in, well, I'll go with the
cat
challenge here,
photos.
cat photos. And it does show up
Okay.
as smaller.
So by default, it's going to be a little bit smaller. Can you talk
Yeah.
to us about the instructions here? Let's talking to us about how these different numbered headings are more about hierarchy, more about importance than they are about size or style.
Yeah. So what we see here by default in terms of size and font is the default of our browser, how it would show that. These are called default styles. And we'll get into that a little bit more later in the bootcamp. But this is how, when we give it some pure HTML without any styling, how the browser will interpret the look of this. So an H1 will appear bigger than an H2. And if I were just for fun to put in an H3 here, let's call
I
it,
think we'll see them sort of
let's see.
Okay, so by default, the styling for the less important, the further down in the hierarchy headings,
Yep.
get smaller and smaller. And this is really important. It always says you can have one H1 element per page.
Yes. And place lower importance headings below higher importance headings. Yeah. So this is our heading, and cat photos is a subheading of cat photo
Ah,
app, and very cute photos is a subheading of this subheading.
okay. So cat photo app is sort of what our page is about for the
Yeah,
heading. Then we've got a cat photos section, an H2. Then we've got a very cute photos subsection. Okay, so we could have an H2, an H3, all the way down to H6. And
correct.
why do we use oh, wait. We usually only teach this one at a time, so having 2 people means I get to throw all the hard answer questions at you. So, semantically, it's important to use HTML that carries meaning. What's
Mhm.
semantic mean?
So semantic in this case is explaining its meaning through its own structure, right? If, for example, if you're reading an article on your phone, and you know how sometimes you can go into like a reader mode where it shows you just the article without all of the navigation and the advertisements and all that, it uses the HTML that's written in that article to communicate that meaning over to the reader mode. So the
Okay.
reader mode knows like, hey, I know that this is a subheading. For example, this also works for assistive devices such as a screen reader. If you've ever used one of those, when it reads out the content of your article, it's going to use that in order to interpret what the content of that web page is.
Fabulous. So we'll definitely cover this again and again, but we've
Oh
got our
yeah,
H1 and our H2. Let's just test and see if this works. I and when we use words you haven't heard yet, don't worry. Always ask us. You're like, what?
please.
But we're going to talk about semantic HTML again and again. We're going to talk about assistive technology again and again. So I promise we're just sort of previewing some of these terms. They can't hurt you yet.
Yeah. So
Let's
cool.
let's speed it up. Let's go. Let's go. Okay.
So
So
our
here
next
they've
one.
added some extra structure for us as well, some stuff we didn't write. I see an HTML tag at the top,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
just previewing these right now. We'll learn about them later. And then I see a body tag inside the HTML. So a child of it. And then inside the body, we've got our H1 and H2. Okay. We'll learn about these as we go, I bet. So
Yeah.
here, we're going to create a paragraph element, which is just a P. Open P. Oh, and a close P. So this, not too much problem solving. We're just getting used to typing some HTML.
Mhm.
I think we can check our code. I feel very confident about this.
So the P here is a paragraph. Is that right?
Paragraph. I think it's a paragraph, isn't it? Let
Yeah.
me, let me. So, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take control. I'm going to be mean, is I'm going
Oh,
to forcibly, haha, take over.
nice.
So I'm using this documentation called MDN.
I'll drop a
And
link.
this is, oh, thank you so much. And this is sort of like Wikipedia, but for web development concepts. Um, so here, I want to set, oh, the paragraph element. So this is a really fun, really easy way to look up more information.
Ooh.
And the first time we read some of these things, let's embiggen you a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
The language is a little bit technical. The PHTML element represents a paragraph. Okay, that's understandable. But here we've got some information. Paragraphs are block level elements. So we'll probably learn some more about that later. But saying, hey, I've never seen this element before. Let me go and look at MDN is a really fun way to do it. I'm
And
going
it's
to
super
trade
helpful.
back so we make some more progress.
And in case it needs to be said, I go back there all the time. I've never memorized all of this stuff.
I used to always be so MDN is made by a company called Mozilla, and I used to very proud. Oh, I don't work at Mozilla, but I love it. So I recommend it anyway. And I do work at Mozilla these days, a different department, different company, a nonprofit. So even though I do work there now, I still like it. They don't pay me to say that. They should send me a T-shirt.
They are wonderful.
So,
So what have we got here?
we're going to learn about comments.
So that's a
What is the
tag for the
most common comment you see in a website?
most common comment. Hmm. Probably a to do.
A to-do? For me, the most common comment I might use is "fix later."
Oh yeah.
So
But
a
what is a oh sorry.
Oh, please. A comment is leaving yourself a note in the code that's not gonna be displayed on the website itself.
So what's a comment for then?
Uh, so you gotta be careful because it's not a secret. Anybody who can view the source of a web page.
Yeah.
So, that's a right click on most browsers will get you
Oh
a
yeah.
view page source or expect inspect element. So people who know about HTML can go ahead and see this anyway, but it won't show up to most users just experiencing this on the web.
Yeah.
And this is important for when you're working on a team and you want to explain what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
important when you want to leave your future self a note. And
Oh,
some people use them to leave like fancy little secret messages. So sometimes for developer jobs, you'll see a website and they'll have instructions for how to apply for a job hidden in the
oh, that's
HTML.
fun.
That might be old fashioned. That might be very 90s.
Cool.
So,
So these are notes we're leaving ourselves. The computer will just our browser will mostly ignore them, so it won't show up on the page, but rather in the source. And so what we want to do is add a comment above the P element with this text. Add link to cat photos.
and we see that that didn't change our preview at all. It didn't change what our users will see on our website.
Yeah.
But I feel a little bit so the syntax for this, the syntax is the grammar. So what we
Mhm.
type to make things happen. So the syntax for this is open brace, exclamation point, dash dash, write our note to ourselves, and then dash dash close. Okay.
So everything inside here is a comment. If I put that paragraph, by the way, inside the comment like this,
Oh.
check it out. The
So
code
we're
itself will not show up.
commenting out some
Yeah,
code.
exactly.
And this is a really good way to see if something's broken. Instead of deleting it and trying to put it back in the right place, you can add a comment around it and it'll say to the browser, just ignore me for now.
Yeah.
All right, folks, ask questions if you have them because we're going to speed up a little tiny bit.
Got our code passing, so we'll go to the
Yeah.
next challenge.
And do you know what? We're going to hit some times where our code doesn't pass, and that is completely okay.
Oh, yeah. I mess
Oh,
up code a lot.
so now, earlier we saw that HTML element, and we're going to add some of these.
Ooh.
HTML5 is the fifth version of HTML and the final one. And
Yeah.
it's a lot like a phone. So the iPhone 1, 2, well, the iPhone was just the and I think they must be at like 47 by now. So
Something
HTML
like
had
that.
5 major versions, and now we're going to stay with HTML5.
Cool.
You don't really need to worry about that. It's been HTML5 for a long time now. So we're going to identify the main section of this page by adding a main opening tag just like that around our content. So that means we open it over the H1 and then close it after the paragraph.
Is this gonna change anything?
So we're just adding the semantic structure. This is going to change it for folks using assistive technologies. It's going to change it for our code being more correct.
Mhm.
But visually, this didn't change for us.
Yeah.
So one term that I want to preview, can you highlight the content? Can you highlight the children of the main? Here, we would call the main element the parent element, and
Yep.
these H1, H2, everything inside is the child. It's a little
Got
bit
it.
Greek mythology where all of the children have been swallowed by the parent element. So they're inside. I'm going to find a less morbid way to describe that someday. So we're going to go to our
Let's,
next challenge.
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
here we go.
Ah,
This is called
nesting.
nesting.
Oh, nesting is a much nicer way to say that. So the parent element provides a safe little nest for the child elements to live in.
So H1, H2, comment, and P element are all nested inside main.
Nested, okay. So what it's asking to do is to go ahead and push, so indent over our P
Ah,
element. Why are we going to do this? Why is it important that the nested elements are all aligned? And why are they all sort of pushed for some extra space?
this is great because like it does not affect how the code is displayed. I mean, if you look at the browser, my changes did nothing. This is for us as coders just to be able to more visually understand that the H1, H2 thing and P are all at the same level nested inside the main element. So it's just aesthetics for us. In fact, if I remember correctly, let me see if I can mess around here, right? If I were to uh, completely mess around the indentation, right? Now you see it's all indented wrong. If you right click and go on format document, check it out.
Yeah. And Learner absolutely covers this for us. It says, cool, we're doing this formatting so we can understand it better, so we can read it
Yep,
better. And by understanding it, we can write it better. I think there's a
exactly.
cheat in here. I think if we right click
Yep,
in here, I think it should give us the option to automatically format it.
yep, that's right. We
So
have a
if you ever
question. Oh,
notice your
sorry.
code's getting messy, go ahead and
Yeah.
right click on it in this browser and it'll automatically format it. Beautiful, stunning, perfect. Oh, we've got a question that previews something we're going to learn in a second. So I'm just going to put it up and address it really fast, and then we're going to learn it in a second. I promise. Katsu's asking
Ooh,
this main section. How's it different from the body element? And main
yeah,
is usually nested inside the body. It's usually a subsection of the body. Is that true? Is that
that is
reversed?
correct. Yeah, no,
Hey.
no.
And
We
we'll
got the
learn
body
more
at the
about this
top.
in a whole second. I promise. But these are
Yeah.
perfectly formatted. We can check our code. Let's.
Oh,
Oh.
you should not change the indentation on the line with your H2 element. Its opening tag should start 6 spaces over from the start of the line. You can restart the step to restore the original indentation. So let's reset. Yeah. And I'll do it as they intended by pressing space twice. 1, 2. Pressing check your code. And there we go. Our code passes, and we can move to the next section. Jess, we're going to be adding images next. Shall I go
Cats,
ahead?
cats, cats, cats. Yes, please.
Cool. So we're going to use the element called img, which is short for element. Now,
And
the thing
this
about,
is
oh,
what where
sorry.
I was set because earlier it was like, oh, all of your elements are going to have a starting tag and a closing tag. That was fibbing because this is
So,
a self-closing tag. What's that going to feel like?
ooh. So the thing about a self-closing tag, and some tags have this, most don't, is that you do not need to add a corresponding closing img. You can just have it.
Oh,
It is meant to just be like this. And a handful of elements have this. IMG is one of them. It is self-closing. So if I leave it like that, check my code. Of course, we're not going to see an image because we haven't given it an image to display. We'll get to that in
ah.
just a minute. But if
And
I
we're
check
going to
my,
get to talk about like images and being careful and data. So here, all we're
oh
going to
yeah,
what this self-closing element does, it doesn't do anything yet, but we're adding the semantic structure
yep,
for where this is going to be.
exactly. So
Yeah,
if we
Kira's got it saying short for image. Perfect, stunning,
perfect,
wonderful.
thank you. So let's go to our next challenge, and here we go. Now we're going to add an attribute to our image. And this is going to look, when we have an element, we can give it an attribute still
Uh,
inside that tag.
do you know what? I always think SRC should mean screen, but it
Oh,
means source,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Yep. It is the source is a URL, which is
Ah,
the address on the internet where an image where an image lives.
And we get asked a lot, how can I put my pictures on the internet? We've got a video about web hosting that we did in the last boot camp. I'm going to go get that. It's going to be super chill. And while I
Thank
do
you.
that, I'm going to let you do the hard work.
This is the fun work. So, for example, this image here shows the Free Code Camp logo. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and try that out. So I'm going to grab all of it. I'm going to copy and paste in here just so we can see. Yep, there's the Free Code Camp logo. Very, very big. But what our challenge wants us to do, I'm just going to reset my code, is to use the source attribute with this URL here. So I'm going to grab this URL and copy it and do src equals and then use quote marks. And these quote marks are very important. Everything inside that quote mark will be that address of our image. So I'm going to paste that there. And there it is, a cute cat. So image src, and then inside that src, we use quote marks. And inside those quote marks, we have the address of our image. So we check our code. It looks good.
Okay, so wait. We got to talk about files, don't we? We've got to talk about file structure.
Okay. Yep.
So, hmm. Y'all might not believe me yet, but every single website that exists in the world is really a storage space on someone's computer, a storage space on a server. So think of it
Yep.
as a box. Oh, heck.
Oh, it's no
Sorry,
longer.
I've given y'all the wrong link. I'll go and get it. Everything's fine.
Shall I fetch it?
No. Well, if you don't mind.
Not at all. You could explain to us the box.
So think about websites as storage space. Like you have storage space in your phone. Yeah. Learn it makes a good point. Yeah. A URL, all the slashes represent different folders. That's really helpful as well. Oh, did I just not copy that over appropriately?
Is it the tribute page one?
So it's the Netlify one. So I wanted to show people that we talked about how
Ah,
hosting. So where your website is a bunch of files and it's being hosted someplace. So there's a computer someplace else where your website lives, and it's an HTML file and a CSS file. And then all of these images are also files that live in the same. Oh, you've got it. Perfect. Thank you.
no worries.
That live in the same folder or in a subfolder of your website. So when we think about an image, when we think about an HTML file, think about these as individual files that all live together. It doesn't make any sense yet. But when we start looking at CSS as well, this is when files are going to start to become more and more important.
And I'll
But
bet we're going to be doing a lot of that later on.
it's always so mean the first couple of classes, isn't it? To be like, hey, just to let you know, this is important and it's conceptually hard. We'll see it in a minute. Okay.
So, what do we got next? All image
Oh,
animation.
I see a lot of people in this boot camp who've done this, done learning with us before. How often do you need to add? So this is a question for folks to yell at us in the chat. How often do you need to add alt text to your images? What alt text? How many images need alt text?
No longer available. I'm sorry, folks. I
No
would love
worries.
to hear from y'all how.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll get that link and I'll add it to the show notes later. I'm so sorry, my loves. Yeah, that's really frustrating. I'm going to find out what's going on with that. That's
I
okay.
posted the link wrong. I am failing at links today. I'm sorry, folks. Try this one, please.
It's all right. Computers are hard and computers are scary. If this one
YouTube
doesn't
links
work,
are hard.
right? And this is a URL. So,
True. Cool.
we've got some fantastic answers, and everybody's. So, an alt text is text that. So it's difficult because we got a lot of people answering the question the way I exactly want to hear it, but
Yep.
then we've got you. You're not going to be shocked to learn that it's learner who's saying ha ha ha.
What is? Oh, can I show it?
Please, yeah.
So he says here, when it's decoration only, I guess you don't, but otherwise, adding one should help a lot. I and what do you mean by decoration? I'm curious because I think every image that you're gonna use on a web page, when you're viewing it on something like I like to listen to web pages a lot using a screen reader when I'm on the go or something. And there, I find it super helpful to know a description of that image since I can't look at it because I'm like walking my dog or something.
So I'll answer that in just a second, but we've got folks saying, use Alt for all your images, use Alt for all images for screen readers. And this is such a good
Ooh.
point. We've got add them to all of your images, always, always, always. So just folks being very, very durably correct. Um, and I would say that if you've got an image where it's just sort of like a little scroll bar or a white box, then you
Mhm.
probably so if knowing what that image is doesn't add any context at all, but here this is important. We've got an orange cat lying on its back. Cats are important. And this alt text does a lot of different things. So if somebody's using a screen reader or assistive technology, it
Yep.
lets them know what the image is. What other so there's a couple other secret things that are bonuses from alt text.
Mm, oh, like, for example, say if the image for some reason can't be loaded,
If it
like if your
breaks,
connection yeah.
or do you know what search engines look at alt text to guess what the image is about?
Yes. Oh,
Mario after my own heart. It helps with search
perfect.
engine optimization. So it makes it easier for websites, search engines to know what's going on. Jessica, you know what? It sounds like I'm paying favorites because you have a beautiful name.
It is a great name.
Very familiar looking name. Um, and saying, "Hey, does the alt text always have to come before? Do you know let's move it around."
Yeah. I'm gonna put it after. That's a great question. So let's put it
So
there. Gonna what did I
when
just
we
do?
don't know something, we've got 3 big options for what we can do when we don't know what's going on. Oh, Eric's jumping the gun. Eric's like, "Ha, ha, ha, no." Um, I think
Yep.
you're right. No, it works just fine. So this is still absolutely perfect. Craig's after my own heart and saying, "Oh, you're making it easier for LLMs to scrape the data." So
What's an
this is an
LLM?
advanced level comment. So large language models are what we often think about where people talk about AIs. These are
Ah.
big models laid over data. And I'm actually going to be giving a talk at FOSDEM in a couple weeks about
Ooh.
non-scraping routes. So right now AI models often scrape the web and take everybody's stuff without asking, which I also don't love. But there are other alternatives. You know what? We should probably have some Saturday socials where we could talk about the advanced stuff and the weird stuff. But back on
Cool.
track.
Let's keep going.
So,
So
Jess, if I can call you Jess, it doesn't always have to come before the SRC. When we don't know a question, we can look it up, we can ask somebody else, or we can get weird, we can experiment. All of these are my favorite routes. So
no, you're good.
we're
So
gonna
what
make
we've
a link,
got a link, and that's using the A tag. So I'm just gonna rewrite it out. So there's our A and our closing A, and A is for anchor.
an anchor. So just having an anchor by itself doesn't really do anything. We're gonna need to throw that anchor and
That's what the
throw it at a URL. The
It's this
href,
attribute.
yeah. So it's an anchor tag with a href element. Um, and actually, let me see if I can get for folks whose first language isn't English, can you tell me what an anchor is? And I've just given you the emoji. What's
Ooh,
this in your language? Because I think it's always interesting.
ooh,
Um,
I love that.
and I like to think of this rough sound as taking this anchor, Mario says. Oh, you're gonna have to tell me the language too. I'm terrible at languages. It's like taking this big heavy anchor. I think ref is the sound of throwing it at
Yeah,
its destination. Okay, we've got a lot of folks. Ancala in Spanish. That's very
yeah,
pretty. I'm going to
ancla.
pronounce all of Ancla. Oh, wow. This is definitely Polish.
I love this.
Korika? Anchor and I'm going to stop brutalizing everybody's beautiful languages. So, an
I love
anchor
it.
tag, ref, is where we throw it.
Okay.
And we're throwing it to this
Interesting.
freecatphotoapp.com. Cool. Ogen in Hebrew. Cool. I'm gonna stop. I'm so sorry. My secret interest is human languages, and I'm so bad at all of them, and I don't mind. So we've got our anchor. Ref. We've thrown it at this URL,
Yeah.
but it
I
doesn't
put it
show
in.
up.
Yeah. So I suspect that's because even though we've told this link where it should go, the content of this tag, and I think it helps if I put an enter here, like the content of it is empty.
So usually when we see a link on a page, it's got some text or it's got an image we can click.
Yeah.
And right now, that anchor text, so the space between the opening and closing, is empty. Oh
Love
no,
it.
look at all these oh, now I wanna learn. I've always wanted to learn Romanian. We need to move on to the next stage, otherwise I'll try and learn more languages. Important. So the boot camp is super, 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 super free. There's
Mhm.
no way to pay us. If anybody asks you for money from this, it's not us. But the Bad Website Club and Free Code Camp are separate. Free Code Camp, still free, but they're a nonprofit. So if you have a ton of money and if you want to donate to them, it's a super nice thing to do. But, and I feel bad threatening our learners, don't y'all dare spend money you don't have. So let's go ahead. Let's ask me later, just so that comes back up, just so we can fuss at people some more.
Cool. So we need to put some text in here and it says link to cat pictures. So that's now going to show up. There it is.
Heck.
So if I click here, so this is a link I could click on now and I don't know if y'all can see it. No, you can't see. I get a pop-up that says, normally this link would bring you to another website. It works. This is a link to freecatphotoapp.com. So that's done. We've got our link. It shows up. It's linked to freecatphotoapp.com. I will click here on check my code and move to the next challenge. So we can,
Amazing.
man, look at this. We can turn
So we're
any
going to
text.
talk about
Sorry.
wrapping. Sorry, I'm
Ooh,
excited
you're
too.
good. You're good. So
Go,
in
go,
the,
go.
oh, oh, um, Juan's got a question for us. I would like to ask if all tags are in line.
So we're going to learn about inline and block later,
Mm-hmm.
but just a preview. So the tags, the individual tags wouldn't really be block or inline. The elements that make them up, some of them are block and some of them are inline. Juan, if it's not a bother, can you keep asking us about what's block and what's inline as we see them?
Yeah,
Because right now our P element is a block level element. Yes, maybe.
I think so.
Um, and the thing is, I never remember either. So we'll look them up as we go. This is such a good question. Thank you. Images are inline. Yeah, let me get the docs for block and inline.
Yeah, I think images are in line. But yeah, we'll be learning about that as we go. What we're going to be doing in this exercise is I've put a link inside a paragraph. So now the words cat photos are a link. You can see there that they're underlined. So see more, and then when we get to cat photos, that becomes a link. So we can have a link inside a paragraph. Likewise, by the way, just for fun, you can have a link inside a heading. Catphotoapp.com. So check it out. I put the photo part as a link. This isn't part of the exercise. I'm just showing you all that you can put this inside. Mele, what a great question. What is the difference between SRC and ref? Okay, let's cover that real quick. So let's go back here. SRC is the attribute that we use for images, right? An image needs to get its data, the image itself, from a source. And that's this here, right? The ref is for a link or an anchor. I'm going to call them links. And that ref is going to be where does clicking on this link take me to? So the difference is
Mhm.
SRC is for images, ref is for anchor.
I'm going to say it different.
Oh, go for it.
SRC is go here and get me this.
Ooh,
Ref is push me there.
I like that.
I think. So that's the way
No,
I
that's
try and
great.
remember it. So ref is like, hey, send me to this place. Whereas
Yeah,
SRC is like, bring me what you find at this place. So source, get this from the source. Ref, send me there. Oh, Ruben backing me up. Thank you. So SRC, the server is going to get you. Or we've said that we've used push in a different way. Um, hmm. Oh, okay. String of Fire is a thing, but String of Fire is more advanced. We're going to pretend we never saw String of Fire. Um, so SRC, the server will be pushing the image to you, and ref is where it's going to send you away. Yeah. So source, get me this. Ref, send me there. All right. Sorry, I just love to interrupt.
cool. So we've had the question, what does ref stand for? And Eric here says it's hypertext reference, which I believe is correct. I was trying to look it up here in MDN, but I could not find it. But yeah, let's check our code and move on to our next challenge. Looks good. So now that we've turned the text cat photos inside the P element into a link, you don't need the second link below the P element. Delete that entire anchor below the P element. So this link on line 8, we can see
Oh,
we've got an
heck, we
8 there.
can't.
We can't what? Sorry? Oh!
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What? No.
There we go.
So now we've used so it's like using SRC to get us back there. Same vibe.
Cool. So we'll be deleting this link now that we've got the link in our cat photos word here. Now the image is no longer being pushed. Check our code, looks good. And we'll move on to our next challenge. Target. So we will add a target attribute with the value blank. We'll worry about the value in a second, so that the link opens in a new tab. Right, because like by default, most browsers will open links directly in the tab that we're in.
Yeah.
So this will take me to the next page, and then I can go back if I want. But if I add this attribute, remember attribute is a target, and then
Equals.
the value. Sorry, yes, the equal
Oh
sign,
yeah.
and the value needs to be in quote marks, and here it's going to be underscore blank. And what this is
Oh,
going
I'm
to do
gonna
is
ask
tell
you
it
a
that
question I don't know the answer to, which is why.
no idea.
In my heart, it's just because.
Let's find out. I'm going to go on MDN and tell you in just a second.
And while we're doing this, Learner's previewing something that we'll do later on in the course. Learner's absolutely out here being like, I know this, I know this. And Tenzing's got a good question while you're getting this. Later on, we'll learn how to make links that navigate us to different IDs, different parts of a page. And while you're getting MDN, Tenzing's asking, if I've got an element, so remember a tag is like usually half of an element. So the um but a link, so this link element, if it's got multiple attributes like it does here, the target
Yeah.
attribute and the ref attribute, do we need to have a comma between them? And good
No.
news, babe, we absolutely don't.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Sorry, that's very familiar. Good news, babe. I'm so sorry.
All good. So we do not exactly. We don't need that. So the target blank target can be many things. This is just for interest and fun. There can be self, parent, top, blank, XML name, and I'm suspecting that a lot of these are going to be older values. But essentially, blank does the following. A new unnamed window or tab is requested for the display of the linked content if this document can securely do so. So in short, the blank value is meant to have that show us that new um, I'm so sorry. To show us that new page.
Cool. I'm going to be meaner and meaner. Let's go ahead and move a little faster just so we cover some more of this. Let's check our code.
Yeah. Cool.
Everything's
Passes.
fine. And we're about 20% of the way done. So we're probably going to run a little bit long today just to try and get us about halfway. And this is what happens when there's two of us.
I am very sorry. I'm gonna have to hop off at the top of the hour. Just would it be
Then
okay if we
I'll be
carried
the
on?
boss. Hang
Would that
on.
be okay?
How about, do you want to say goodbye now and I'll send you to timeout?
Oh no, no, no. Just like at the
Yeah,
top of the
it's
hour, I
10
would have to.
minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be fine.
So we got our oh,
Here's
turn our image into the link. So this was really good because Mela was asking, can we add a ref in the opening P tag and make all the P a link? We'd still need our
yep.
anchor. So we still need the anchor involved. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to change the image and we're going to wrap that in a link.
Fantastic. So let's do that here. A pref free cat photo app.com. So I've opened the link tag. Now I need to close it. So I'm going to do that after the image. So now the image is wrapped inside or nested inside an anchor tag.
Okay.
So there we go. Let's check our code. Looks good. And I'll go ahead and submit.
So we're going to learn some more about semantic HTML.
Fantastic.
And we're going to learn about the section tags. And these usually by themselves, they won't really change what we see visually or understand
Yeah.
about a site, but they add a lot of structural meaning. So we're going to make a section element that has our H2, our P, and our anchor elements. We're going to nest those in a section element. We're going to make a parent section element for our H2, P, and anchor. I'm going to send you to row 5. Perfect. Incomparable. You know.
And below here, I'm
And
going
I
to,
think that's going to work.
yeah, I'm going to
Format
format it.
document.
So it looks nice. So yeah. So now the section contains these nested elements. Yeah.
Amazing.
Nice. So now we've got a new section we need to add. We're going to add a second section below the existing one. And this one's going to be empty. So we're not going to see any new content, but we're just declaring, hey, there's another section of content here.
I think the next thing we better learn is a way to tell these sections apart. Because we learned that semantic elements carry additional meaning. And
Yeah.
so far, all this tells me is there are two sections on the page. It's not as
Yeah.
helpful as it could be.
Yeah.
Let's
And I bet we're
bop
going to learn.
on. I bet it will.
Cool. We're about ready for the next one. And here we go.
Okay. So I'm gonna say, please make an H2 opening tag. Say cat lists as the yeah. Okay. Oh, while you're doing that, Mark asked a really good question. What's the difference between a section and an article element? We'll learn about articles later, I promise. And these are two different elements that do kind of the same type of thing. And whatever you're picking elements, you always want to pick the one that has the most specific meaning, the
Yeah.
best semantic. So a section, all that really tells us is this is a section of the page, whereas an article is a lot more specific. This tells us, hey, this section of the page is an article. If you've got an article on your page, I'd go for the article element. If you've got a section of your page that's not an article, maybe a section.
Yep.
All right, we're going to create an H3 element. So just like your H2, let's close it. Oh, I'll
Oh,
let you
sorry.
do that. No, no, no. Everything's easy.
There we go.
And then inside those H3 tags that make up our element, things cats love. Let's check it out.
Wonderful.
Amazing. after Ramon drops off, I'm going to be driving and I'm much faster and much meaner. So we'll
You
hustle,
are
hustle.
wonderful.
Oh, Mario's previewing something as well, saying, hey, we're going to learn about divs too.
Ooh.
And these are even less specific than a section. They're like empty boxes. We're going to learn more about them. I promise. And don't worry if the stuff still feels weird. It'll feel weird until you're older. Until you're older in HTML. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make an unordered list. So first we need to
Mhm.
speak our list into being. First we say, hey, I'm an opening UL tag and a closing UL tag. And we don't see anything yet. But let's
There's
bop on. We trust them. We trust the system.
yeah, there's no content.
So in order to make a list with bulleted items with little dots, we need a list item element for each dot 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 in our list. Okay. So we've got 3 of these. Can you make me 3 list item elements? And the laziest way to do this is to make one of them and then copy it twice.
Boop, boop. There
Boop,
we go.
boop. And go ahead and give me catnip, laser pointers, and lasagna as the content, please.
There it is. Oh, look, it shows up with the dots.
It shows up with the dots, and later on. Oh no, maybe a stretch homework. You can change what the dots are. There's a lot of different options. We're gonna check our code because I think everything is fine.
Amazing.
Ooh, after our unordered list, we're going to make a new image with our source. So the go and get is going to be to this for lasagna. Okay. Garfield reference, I think. Could you please make me an IMG element?
And that'll be after the unordered list. So not after the LI, but after the UL.
Is it? Yeah, yeah, after the list is done. And then our source and then our alt. So here we're putting it Ramon's doing all the work. We're putting in the structure first.
There's our
Alt
alt.
text right out of the box. Nice. And then we've got the image, like the URL where that's pointing. And if we scroll down now, we see some lasagna. Amazing.
Perfect.
Everything's fine. I mean, the whole world is not fine, but this right now can't hurt us too bad. So we talked about how, and this was Mark asked this really good question. I said, hey, what's the difference between a section and an article? And we said, oh, an article is more specific. And here we've got this figure element. And a figure element is telling us that we've got an image of some kind or a diagram of some kind, and that we've got a caption as well. So this is very specifically telling us these two things go together, the semantic meaning come together.
Oh, we're
So we've
grouping
got,
them.
yeah, we're saying, hey, these mean something together. So
I
our
don't see a
image,
caption yet, though.
give me a second. Give me a
Oh, I'm
second.
sorry.
Let's bop on and check this. I trust the system. I bet we're gonna. Ha ha.
Looks
Let's go to our
good.
next challenge. See? So within our figure element, we have an image, and that's already there. That's fine. Now we need to add a fig caption element.
Big caption.
We're going to close that as well. And this is going to associate this text with the image. It says, cats love lasagna. You might want to copy and paste just to get the formatting right.
Oh, yeah, good call. I'll do that next time. But here's a question, Jess.
Oh, no.
What's the difference between alt text and a caption?
Hmm. So I might leave off alt text if the caption is associated with it. It would say the same thing. So alt text is describing the image, whereas the
Mhm.
caption is giving context associated with the image.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Nice.
Oh, heck. I'm sorry. I was taking over and being a bully.
Oh, you're fine. Wait, did you
Actually,
want
I am about to kick you off. We're on step 25. You've got to go.
I'm
Uh,
sorry, folks.
everybody
I'll
say bye, Damon.
I'll catch you all the next time.
And ha ha ha, now you only have the mean teacher. So we're going to use the M element. We're going to wrap the word love in an M. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Is that okay? You fuss at me if that's not a good size, even though I'm very mean. So I've got this M that I'm going to start. And notice that as soon as I, oh, heck, as soon as I, heck, can we see? It's a little difficult to see, but we see that love lasagna is all emphasized. It's all italicized. And that's because I haven't closed this yet. Cats love lasagna. So M gives us that little doop tip. All right, I think this is going to pass. Everything's fine. This can't hurt us. It's just computers. Amazing. Everything's easy. So after our figure element, so I see our start of our figure, the end of our figure, let's come down to line 23 or whatever line you're on. And this is going to feel a little repetitive. This is going to feel like stuff we've done. So I'm going to go a little fast. We're going to add an H3. I'm going to open and I'm going to close my H3. And in here, the text, top 3 things cats hate. Oh, gosh, you know what? I love your examples of things cats hate because I think I might disagree. And here we're seeing this come in. We're going to check our code. We've got another. I feel confident here, don't you? Yeah. Oh, this says 3%. This is a lie. Hang on. I'm just going to double check. So we've got about 70 total. So let's go until about 36 today, huh? Let's go till 36 and then I will abandon you because I'm mean. Starlight is saying, hey, the M here is for emphasis. Yeah, it used to a long time ago be an I for italics, but M for emphasis. So here, we're going to do what Ramon showed us to do, and we're just going to do it again. Here we've got our unordered list. We're going to do an ordered list this time. Let's come down and let's look at our ordered list as it develops. Okay, we don't see anything happening yet. And the reason is the same reason as last time, is that we've got our ordered list. Oh gosh, what do we think an order? Aha. So this is interesting. I'm going to copy you and paste you because a happy developer is a lazy developer. Our unordered list we see here has ... dots. And here, our still blank ordered list has 1, 2, 3. Ah, it's ordered. So cats hate flea treatment. I think that tracks. Cats hate thunder. And I think that's probably true for proper cats. My cats don't hate it at all. And other cats. And unfortunately, my cats are also rubbish cats. They love everyone. I'm going to check. See, I think this feels like it might be okay. Everything's fine. We've got 28. We're only going to 36, and then I abandon you. But we might notice that this is teaching us. This is teaching us the syntax again. It is teaching us the grammar of HTML by having us do something that feels a lot like what we've just done. We're going to add another figure element. You know what? Maybe I'm not going to 36. Maybe I'm abandoning you early. Okay. And we're going to do this just like we saw last time. Okay. We've got our source element, which to me, it still feels like screen, and I know it's not. And this hasn't told us to have an alt yet, but I'm going to add space for my alt text because I know it's coming. We come down here. Oh, my heart. Just a whole bunch of cats. So I'm going to check our code. We've got a green. We love that green stripe. Haha, I knew it. It's going to add an alt text. And here, this is 5 cats looking around a field. But please, can y'all tell me how you might describe this? So the purpose of alt text is so that folks who are using assistive technology or for search engines, I might add, so this is 5 cats looking around a field, an orange cat, and 4 tabbies, or so 5 tiny baby kittens. So good alt text is descriptive. And our fig caption here. And y'all, now that Ramon is gone, y'all are going to have to keep me honest because I am very bad at typos. So some of this won't work because I will definitely do. Oh, so I'm going to go ahead and pull some folks to the front because we've got some really good alt text here. 5 kittens sitting in the grass, 5 cats on green grass is really evocative. Kittens, I think adding kittens instead of cats might be really useful here. So I really like alt text as a way to express yourself. I'm going to check our code. Everything continues to be fine. We got 5 more. We learned about M earlier. Now we're going to learn about strong. That's my best strong voice. So we're going to wrap hate in strong, just like we wrapped love in M. So what I think is going to happen is once I say strong, it's going to make all of this strong. So I need to make sure I close it. Otherwise, everything on my page might wind up strong. We've got hate as super strong. I'm going to check our code, and stuff is still fine. As we're winding down, if you all have any questions, please let me know in the chat, and we'll wrap those up at the end. We'll have a little laid back question and answer section. We're going to add one more section below the second section. Here's a section. Oh, so we've got our first section ends here on this closing tag. Our second section starts here, everything nested in it, and ends here. So I'm going to add another section after this section ends. Oh, heck, and I'm going to close it all the way. I'm going to format my document. Okay. And then, do you know what? It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to add a little space here just to keep it clean in my head. We've got that little green stripe. Nothing is wrong. And I really want to fuss at y'all. If you're doing this on your own and you don't always get that green stripe, it happens, I promise. The only reason I keep getting green this time is I have taught this section about 400,000 times. Ooh, do you know what the worst thing is? I'm going to abandon you all just as this gets hard, because this is saying, hey, this section is for the cat form. We're going to preview forms, and forms are a little bit hard. So remember, if you get stuck, come onto the Discord, come onto the forum. And this is saying, hey, if you've got the money to donate, it's a really nice thing to do. And donating goes to Free Code Camp. It doesn't go to the bad website club. So this is going to be a little bit hard. And the reason I abandon you all cruelly, just as this gets hard, is one of the most valuable things you can learn. So we're going to add a form element. And here, it hasn't told us what a form element is. So I'm just guessing that it'll be form. Check. That's just fine. But I was saying is one of the most important things that I'd love for you all to learn early and often is that it's okay to struggle a little bit. It's okay for stuff not to feel okay. And it's super okay to have to look stuff up or ask questions. Lots of times this is going to be really frustrating. And the learners I see who are the most successful aren't the smartest. They're not the fastest learners. The folks I see who turn out to be really great developers are the people who are the most comfortable being wrong. So step 36, maybe we'll do 1 or 2 more because we're going to be doing some hard stuff. So our form is going to have an action attribute. And remember, an attribute is the attribute name equals and these quotation marks. So here we've got an example where it says form. We've got the opening form tag, and then we've got action. And then we've got this fragment of a URL where it says submit URL. This shows, and this is going to be hard. It won't make sense yet. It's fine. This is showing where in our file system this form should send the form data. So when somebody types in a form online, it sends that to where the website data is held or to a third-party place. But this is saying, hey, I want to build a form And when somebody pushes submit or when somebody pushes go, this is where I want this to live. So here, the action, free cat photo up, submit cat photo. I want to say this form, which we still can't see yet, there's nothing displayed yet, but this is where this information is going to get pushed. Let's just look at the next stage together and talk about it. So this one passes. Okay. I told you that I was the mean teacher. So here we're going to do an input element. Oh, so this is a good question. I'm going to ask it in just a second, just after we talk through this, I promise. So the input element lets you choose what kind of information people can put into the form element. Can someone who's not me, can somebody tell me what kind of syntax we might use to add an input element? So it says nest. So I think you're probably going to put it on line 37 just to give you a hint. But I'm going to let someone else tell you because I'm going to abandon you here. Terrible, monstrous, and let you all do some of this problem solving on your own. Fabulous. I'm so sorry. This is going to be how it always works as we go through the easy parts together. And once we've gotten used to the semantics, once we've gotten used to the structure of the page, we'll jump in and start midway through. But we're always going to leave you to the hardest parts on your own because it's really important to be a little bit independent. I'm going to send this away. You're on your own. How terrible. And let's look at some of these good questions. Pramut was asking, hey, what's the difference between M and strong? And do you know what? Other folks answered this well before me. And Juan is saying, I got you. M gives us this italic styling by default, and the other one gives you bold styling by default. Yeah. Andre makes a really good point, and Andre says, be careful though. So we use M and strong inside of HTML because they carry that semantic meaning, saying, hey, this is emphasized, not just in the way it looks, but also if somebody's using assist technologies, emphasize this part, make this strong. Whereas in text, that's always going to work. Starlight, perfect. So say, hey, M is always going to be emphasized, but it won't always be italics. You can change the default nature. You can change what M does in CSS, which is this slightly more difficult programming language that we're going to learn in a minute. We're going to learn later this week. And I was like, hey, what do we think that input might look like? And Juan makes a good point. Input, and then we're going to have the type. Yeah. Oh, and if y'all have any other questions, give me these questions. Mark, I love a question where you answer it yourself because this is correct. Mark is saying, hey, this last part we did together where it says form action. So a form element, the action, the action attribute. It's an embarrassing. I'll forget embarrassing things constantly. The action attribute, what URL the action attribute is set to is where the data from the form is going to be sent. You are absolutely correct. Yeah. Ha ha ha. Renata, who has a beautiful name, I'm so jealous, is saying, hey, after we finish this project, can we copy the code and keep it? You absolutely can. So, you'll be able to access all the code. So, the very last step, you'll see all of it. But if you want to copy this code and save it because you want to use it in your portfolio, good news, bad news. Good news is we're going to build portfolio projects as part of this course. So the cat photo app, it's an okay project. We're going to have some projects that you can do and copy your code and save and show employers. Ooh, scary. Or show your mama, show your boss. So we'll have portfolio projects. You can. Ooh, so Kira's saying, okay. And I love a conversational question. So Kira's saying, yeah. M and strong both have semantic meanings, but why would I choose M and why would I choose strong? And I don't know. Both of them are types of emphasis. Let me go ahead and get When in doubt, doot, doot, doot. Sorry, I spend a lot of time confused and singing to myself. So here I've got DuckDuckGo up because I am a DuckDuckGo girl. MDN M. The emphasis element. Okay, so this marks stress that has a stress emphasis. So, hey, this is important text. Okay, okay. So I'm going to get this. Oh, and this is interesting. The M element can be nested, so you can make it more and more stressed. Now let's look up a strong. So I think these might just be the strong element indicates its contents have a strong, important seriousness or urgency. Browsers usually put this in bold type. So semantically, they both do the same kind of thing. I think you could probably choose either for many of your use cases. Oh, a use case is a fancy computer way to say for what you need. I hope that's a good answer because I didn't know myself. So both of them look like a way to emphasize or semantically underline something. Um, I might ask an expert. Oh, do you know what? Somebody's saying this might be a silly question. This is not a silly question at all. And Malay is asking, are there ways to design web pages without HTML and CSS? There absolutely are. So there's a lot of different kinds of website builders. So you're going to want a no code or low code website. For example, WordPress is a website builder where you don't necessarily have to use HTML or CSS. And I think that WordPress websites are about a quarter of the web. So I love to push people to learn some HTML and CSS because they're really, really powerful, but they're not the only thing you need. I'm going to get rid of this because actually, um, Ramon and I did a whole season of doop, 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 singing to myself, just being a goofball. We did a whole season of website builders, and I'm going to grab those for you. Oh, Steven. If I scroll down on the MDN Strong, it'll talk. Ooh, that's what I get for being lazy. It'll give us a discussion about when we use strong and a lesson about not just looking at not just looking at the top sentence. So, Starlet, a WYSIWYG. Somebody who's not me. What's a WYSIWYG? And here is we did Ramon and I did a season where we looked at different website builders where you don't need to necessarily use code. And there's a whole bunch of videos where we had experts from different WYSIWYGs come and show us how to work it. Amazing. Let's go ahead and let's look at this because I don't know. Aha! Oh, all of y'all are. So WYSIWYG is an abbreviation for what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. The hard thing about cyberspace is oftentimes when you're right, somebody else is also right at the exact same time. Let's look at this super fast, and then I am going to wait. While I go and get this, let's talk about homework. So here we go. M versus strong. Okay. So HTML4 says strong, the old version of HTML. Strong had stronger emphasis than M. HTML5 says strong represents strong importance for context. So there is a debate. This still doesn't feel very definitive. This still feels very vibe space where it says, oh, strong is strong and M is emphasis. Hmm. So let's talk homework. And the big thing is when we talk about the pace we're going at, when we talk about homework, this is not a you must. So the whole point of this boot camp is to give extra support while you learn. And I didn't even do this. So my homework is to finish the first 24. If you can, please try to finish up to 69 if that's okay. Thank you. But if you don't finish this today, that's not a big deal. It's going to be around next week. It's going to be around over the weekend. It's okay, I promise. And then tomorrow, we're going to start learning a little bit of basic CSS together. We're going to start this project together tomorrow. Looks like very more complete. But let's not let's not cheat and look at the. It's not cheating. Let's not preview too early. So if you can, please try to finish the rest of this section before tomorrow. If you can't, not a big deal. But the most important homework I'm going to give you, and this homework I am going to be really bossy about, is please be super gentle with yourself. You're learning brand new things. A lot of these contexts are really stressful. You've got to be really soft and really gentle with yourself as you learn. There are no silly questions and there are no silly things to be stuck on. I have been stuck for days on typos or misaligned formatting. It is super normal. And like I've I've been writing HTML since before CSS existed, and I still get stuck on very, very, very silly little things. So please, if you get a chance, try and finish the section before tomorrow. No biggie if you don't, but you must be gentle with yourself as you learn. Fabulous. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I hope you all have the easiest possible morning or the middle of the night or afternoon. Hopefully, it's afternoon and not too late. I'll let you go. And thank you so much for learning with me. Bye, team.